Hey, so I wanna talk about some stuff. All right. Basically, just to reinforce authenticity here on this channel. Look, I'm not this like huge motivational speaker. I don't know why a lot of you guys watch my videos, but anyways, here we go. So, um, look, I want to talk to the people who play video games all day long and who, I think this goes mostly to guys, right? But um let's just talk to you. All right. You have a lot of untapped potential that you could try and use, you know? I see a lot of potential in young guys. And I think they just don't know what to do with themselves very much because, you know, no one tells us, you know, what to do, I think. So I'd say lay off the video games for a while and try and be a bit more mature. You know, I think for me, you know, I tend to be, you know, in my own world, and I tend to be naive, and it's something I hate. I don't like to be naive. I don't like to, but you know, you know, trying to be a grown up and stuff. Obviously, it's kind of boring and stuff. But you know, at some point, you kind of have to like admit to yourself, like, okay, well, can I just, you know, I can't just fucking play video games all day long, you know, and honestly, you might think it's what you want, you know, it's like the things that make you happy. Like, okay, I bought myself a handheld. It's a to play video games on. You know, I was trying to play The Witcher 3. And it's a great game, and you know, it's a stupid idea, but you know, because you know, I haven't been playing video games for like 2 years now, and I'm focused on my own path. You know, on creating stuff. But I was like, okay, you know what? I've been feeling very miserable because I haven't been doing anything or given myself anything to provide myself some sort of fun. And video games is something that, for me, you know, I grew up with, and it's a huge part of me in my life. And then, you know, it's like, fuck it, you know? And it's also a test to see if I am going to fall back into a sort of addiction. And, you know, they are very addictive, you know, and I think a handheld is a good start instead of, you know, for example, you know, if I were to like build myself a PC and everything. And there's this great video by Doozy, which I'm going to link down below. Great creator. I really like your videos, by the way, if you're watching, man. I support you. So, yeah. And he made a video that also went kind of viral, and which I really like and rewatched last night, actually, which is how you play video games is how you do everything. And, you know, you know, I have a tendency of not finishing things, you know, as soon as something gets a bit too hard or, you know, there's stuff that I could change through the uncomfortable conversations or changes that, you know, or through disappointing people, and just sheer force or, or, or trying to be consistent or not giving up, things like that. Or basically, as soon as things get hard and kind of not as fun, you know, as the learning curve becomes steeper, I tend to just stop. You know, I don't tend to keep going. I don't tend to go all the way, and I focus on having things be set up the right way. So if I'm gonna contrast this with video games, basically the video that like I'll focus more on the gear that I have. Like I'll focus on how the graphics look, how is the performance, is this really the right experience? Am I gonna get the most out of it instead of just playing the fucking game, you know, and enjoying it and trying to actually get good. And you know, I would never really play the first person, I mean, sorry, yeah, no, single player story games, you know, like The Witcher and things like that, just because I would always go for shooters and just, I don't know, it's kind of, they're very addicting, man. And there's something about like working with your, like, I don't know, just being skill-based kind of things rather than taking the time to learn about the game, learn the story, learn the mechanics, you know, what is it, you know, using potion. Like, for example, I remember like my cousins, you know, they're big gamers, and thanks to them I got into video games, and they would always know some, like they would play games, you know, like MMORPGs, you know, where basically in those games you can, like, depending on what build you have, you know, what, you know, see, I even struggle knowing the terms, and obviously it's been quite a long time, but like, you know, it's like farming, you know, for a certain thing, you know, which means you have to really put in a lot of work to build your character up and build certain stats up, and you can connect, like they would be great at using the game's mechanics to having like this huge strong character, right? Okay. Now that for me was just like, bleh, you know, it's just like, nah, I just want to go straight into it and just like, just give it to me now, you know, like I want the cool looking character now. I want the fucking, like I want everything now. And I'm not the most patient person. This gives me two things, and this is a weapon that you know, all these double-edged swords is essentially still a weapon. A double-edged sword is still a weapon, right? Like, let's not forget it. I think that's one of my things that I'll proudly start sharing more online of, like, a double-edged sword is still a weapon if you're strong enough to wield it. If you are someone who wants things now, like if you're impatient, that means you're still kind of willing to take risks or like to get started on things, which is great, you know, but it also means you're a very impatient person. You won't finish things as, you know, as me. When it comes to my job as a barista, I've worked at a few places, and, you know, I'm really good at, you know, being really fast and like leveling up, you know, and getting good with everybody, and, you know, doing a good job. But then sort of as time continues, it's like, okay, now try to be consistent, you know, try to be consistent for a while, you know, how long can you hold out? It turns from a sprint to a marathon, and then, you know, it's like, how do you make the marathon still, like, how fast can you run in a marathon? And I tend to just kind of lose at some point, just kind of like, I don't know, effort. There's been times where I would go, like I would just sprint, you know, from the start, like just all the way, like just give it my all and just burn out, you know, and that has a lot to do. I actually published a newsletter about that, on how you can use your job, and I'll definitely talk more on that topic in the future, because I think I've learned so much from my job as a barista, and it's going to be down in the description as well. I hope you can check it out. It's not that long, so it's, you know, and I think there's some good tips in there on how to, you know, you can use your job and you make it active time and love that job, which is an idea I remember getting from Robert Greene, the author of 48 Laws of Power. So definitely check that out as well. But let's just go back now, right, to video games. And yeah, I mean, I have it now. I have my handheld here, and I can definitely tell, like, oh, you know, it's fun. But I'm still basically doing the same shit, you know? It's like, oh, the settings and stuff, instead of just enjoying the fucking thing. Instead of enjoying the game and playing the games that I never played. I had in my library, but I just never played. Sure, you know, I'm someone, you know, you could say, focus on your strengths, right? But it's like, I don't know. Which in that case would be like FPS games, but anyways, I'm getting carried away. So, and to put it into perspective, right? So yeah, I mean, look, I was severely addicted to video games, and I just mean that because it was just, I would do it even if I didn't felt like it, even if it was making me miserable, even if there was things that I should do, right? And I think maybe I'm sure that's probably the definition of addiction. I don't know, but it would get to the point where I would sit in front of my computer and I just felt miserable. Like it was just like, oh, I have all these games and I'm bored. Like I don't know what to play, and like it makes no sense. Like it just makes no fucking sense, you know? Like as a kid, I wanted to have the PC and all those games, you know, to play, and then I had it and it was just like, I don't know. Don't want to do this anymore. It's like I got the whole streaming setup going and it was like, oh, it's getting hard now. I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, come on, man. Like, what's going on? You know? And so I knew I had to make a change, right? I had bigger issues at hand, you know. It was that, you know, I was a big people pleaser, of course, as a lot of you know. I was, there was just a big lack of independence, you know, and I think, for lack of better word, I was just very weak. You know, I had a very weak character. You know, very irritable and very depressed, and all these things. And so, you know, I'd say, you know, skip out on the video games for a while. You know, instead of trying to get good at a video game, try to get good at yourself. You know, in real life. Like that's where it stems from, like the whole be your hero thing, you know. Because like in the end, it really does start with you. Like it's not about the gear, as I mentioned in one of the earliest newsletters that I posted, letters to a hero. I mean, that I posted. I should be calling them letters to a hero rather than newsletter, but I mean it's a fucking newsletter, or whatever. And because it starts with you, you know. Like no matter how good things get for me, I will still always find an excuse, you know. Oh, you know, it's this, or I don't have that, or and if you can become like sort of obsessed with your own self, like scratching your own itch, like fixing your own pain, right? Or dealing with your own pain, which for me, you know, there's a few, right? But I mean, I'm sure as everybody does, right? And trying to be that person that you would like to be, you know, the person that you want to be like in game, or the characters that you admire, you know, from the stories that you read or watch. The you know, you can be that sort of person, even the people that you admire, right? And you know, embark on some sort of adventure for yourself. Leave home, you know, get a job, something that you're kind of curious about, not something that, you know, I'm just telling you what it is that I've done, right? But you know, stick with it for some time, and just yeah, try to get good. You know, aim high. You know, like build a vision. You know, these are all things that I've talked about before and that just work for me. But yeah, just lay off the video games for a while. You know, like, man, the brain rot. I think I'm probably just unaware of how how my baseline for dopamine was so messed up. You know, with video games too, a lot of the times I'm sure it comes, you know, the corn videos. I think, you know, on YouTube you can't say the word, but anyways, yeah, you know, you get addicted to that as well. You know, all those things. It's just, and then the way that, like the culture itself, you know, the way people talk and stuff, you know, it's not about trying to like be normal either. Like you can be into whatever it is that you want to be. You know, you can be a nerd. I'm a huge nerd, I think. You know, I'm not that huge of a nerd, I think, because I lack a lot of knowledge, right? But still, you know, just boost up your stats in real life, in other aspects, right? Start your own self-improvement journey. You know, it's not about like, yeah, I think self-improvement is a shitty term. I don't like to call it that way. People ask me like, oh, what do you talk about? It's like, well, shit, I don't know. I just talk about myself, I guess. That's what I should say. I'm just myself on the internet. Because a lot of that, you know, pain that I had always was just to be myself too, you know. And escaping into video games is not necessarily, I think, the answer, or into that whole world, I think, or at least it didn't help me, you know. You know, I think most of the things that you want are just really outside of that comfort zone. There's nothing I can sort of say against it, you know. The more I try out these cliches, the more I venture into like sort of the unknown, whether that's, you know, trying to break these like, as cliche as it sounds, these limiting beliefs in my head. Like, I can't say anything against it because it just happens to be true. Like, I don't know what to say, you know, like, yeah, you know, comfort kills. It does, in a way. It just, like, you get stronger. Like, that's the whole point. You're supposed to be strong, right? Stronger, at least. No, you're supposed to be strong. Like, you're not, you know, I think there's people a lot stronger than me, and I admire them a lot, you know. And that's something, you know, you should admire those people too, you know. There's so much stuff that you can get upset about, like the small things in life. And if you can just, I guess if you can aim at being someone that doesn't sweat the small stuff, that's great. You know, it really is. If you can be that and have a purpose, have a direction, have a vision, and be the person that, like, if you look in the mirror and you like what you see, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? And it's completely in your own hands. You know, like, embark on the adventure, embark on your own path, I guess. That's what I would like to say, I don't know. And that's where it stops, you know, with this whole motivational stuff all the time. I don't think, like, yeah, I do a lot of it. It's just because, you know, I don't know, I like it. But yeah, lay off the video games. There's a lot more to you that you yet have to discover, I think. I mean, if you have the discipline, you know, of not being addicted to those gains, well then, fair enough, you know, but that's not my case, you know, or at least it wasn't. We'll see. I don't know. I'm trying to get comfortable with the fact that I'm not the same anymore and that I have changed. And it's weird to see or to think about, because it's, the problem with, I think the problem with growth is that you just forget about it. You just don't see how much you change, You think, oh, I just got lucky, or, everybody else does it anyways. And it's like, well, not if you willingly go out of your way to grow, to embrace pain, that's different. Because not a lot of people do. I think now I'm guilty of it as anybody else, but we tend to look for comfort and not for pain. I mean, that's yeah. And that's a double-edged sword again. If you are someone who struggles a lot and you just, because here's the other thing. When you live in the comfort zone, at least for me, and I'm not sure if this accounts for a lot of people, but I'm sure some people need to hear this. And, you are very much comfortable, right? Like, the comfort zone kills when small things that are necessary annoy you, when you're very irritable, and no matter how much self-indulgence you do, you don't feel happy, and you feel pathetic with yourself, and you're very hard on yourself, then that kind of just tells me that you're just very ambitious, and you have no aim, and that you have nothing at stake, and that you need to just venture out and just, you need a goal, you need a direction, you need something to work towards, because you've like, I read this from this post the other day, and I'll try to link it in the description as well. Jesus Christ, I need to link a lot of stuff into the description. Dozy. Basically, I read the other day that aimless ambition is anxiety, or creates anxiety. And I think it's really true. It's just very much true. Most of the pain that I feel, and this happened to me yesterday again, and it felt like, man, like I went back in time, like, oh God, like, it wasn't like, oh, I did a few steps backwards. It was just like, holy shit, I haven't changed one bit, I felt completely blocked. And it's kind of weird to admit, but basically, like, I had taken, like, I was deciding between going to the gym now or later that night, and I had some stuff that I needed to do. So, like, you usually, like, we tend to have a task that we're avoiding, and that also creates a lot of stress. And I have a lot on my plate too, but I can't complain. Jesus Christ, it could be way worse. Things, like, there's a lot of better problems now, new problems, like, every time, like, I just tell these things to myself, like, okay, look around, like, things are pretty fucking good or better. Don't control the things you can't control. There's like thousands of people who would kill to be in your shoes right now, and it's not hard. It's just new. You just need to fucking, like, pull yourself together, and I tell, like, I know that my success is basically just determined by my own ability to pull myself together and be effective, and just do the thing when it's supposed to be done, or when I know I should be doing it, or, like, I think I'm at the point now where, well, okay, I'm getting carried away again. So, fuck, oh my God, Jesus Christ, okay, stick to the point, Santiago. yeah, aimless ambition creates a lot of anxiety. Yeah, and I was in that point. I was just like completely mind block. Like I was just like so anxious. Like I was like, oh my god. Like okay, I did take a lot of caffeine, but like I'm a barista. It shouldn't be that big of an issue. But maybe it was the slight empty stomach. Anyways, these are all just excuses. What I'm trying to say here is, bear with me. I'm sorry. Just this sort of weird fear, irrational fear of, oh my God, like, what should I do? How am I gonna, like, am I gonna, it's like having too many options, you know? What if I disappoint my friend because I'm not gonna be there tonight? You know, why do I even have this fear? I thought I was over this already. And like, who gives a shit? But like right now I'm fully caffeinated. Like I can go to the gym, you know, this is gonna be like the best time. So I was like, oh my God, man, I was just thinking too much. And it's just like, there's this, there's this thing I have on my phone, which is by Dan Coe, which says, you don't have anything, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, you're lacking some sort of very meaningful project or direction and you're not fully committed. That's why you're drowning in options. And yeah, I think going back to being in the comfort zone, if you have a lot of options, you know, and no matter what it is that you do, like, you know, getting, like, buying cool clothes or doing fun stuff or playing video games or singing or whatever the fuck, like, if you don't have a certain sort of direction, you know, if you don't have anything like at stake, if you're not confronting any sort of fear, if there's no like willful pain, or if you're not venturing outside of the comfort zone, you kind of feel miserable. And I felt very miserable at that point yesterday because it was just like, I think I inertly had just kind of given up on my own path, or I was just like, I was seeking comfort, you know, and that comfort, it was like I had pulled away my aim. I had lost sight of what it is that where I'm trying to go, and maybe it's been a bit accumulated, but yeah, self-indulgence and things like that don't make you happy. And this is a lesson that I thought I had already learned, but I guess, you know, here to learn again, although I did overcome it, of course. But it's you know, yeah, those things don't make you very happy. At least that happiness doesn't very like last very long. You know, I think like if you're lacking some sort of purpose, if you're lacking some sort of direction, I think it's very easy to become bitter and weak, and then you have the audacity to be a perfectionist, you know, thinking, oh, you know, everything has to be perfect. It's like, yeah, that's me, you know. That's you can't do that, you know. Like I think it's just so fucking cool. Like if you basically make something the enemy and you like say, okay, I'm gonna go to war, you know, like that there's real fulfillment there. There's real fulfillment in trying to slay the dragon, you know, and venturing there. And I think also like if you're struggling with knowing when to chill out or when to indulge in something, it's like, well, you won't feel guilty, right, if you have done something. Like as you get stronger and as you get smarter and you build more leverage, the things that you do sort of become easier for you, right? Like life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. And so I think maybe that's what it means to like be comfortable being uncomfortable, because we'll always probably have to keep doing shit that at some point we don't want to do, or like the beauty of life is work and rest, and you can't have one without the other. If you only have rest, well then you'll be very miserable, and I'm very certain of that. Like, when was the last time you went on vacation, and after a certain while you just kind of feel like and small things irritate you, and you kind of start feeling a bit pathetic about yourself, even though you don't notice it probably. Like, I think a lot of my lack of inner confidence was that I simply was not very independent, Mel Robbins, she said something I recently heard. It goes to show, if you surround yourself with the right content, or like you live in the best time, some of the best times in human history. Let's not forget that. You can have mentors without them being present, just by surrounding yourself with their content. But anyways, she said something about, if you can't get yourself to wake up at the time you want to wake up, eat the thing that you said you were going to eat, and work out when you said you were going to work out, like, you're not going to have a lot of self-respect. You're not going to have that self-respect, that and self-respect is self-love, and self-love is inner confidence. I think there's two confidences, right? There's you can be very confident, like loud and be on stage and stuff, but if you don't have the inner confidence, as someone who likes to go on stage and stuff, and I love acting, I love to perform, and I want to, and but that, if you don't have the inner confidence, like, you're fucked, pretty much. So, yep, that's the yap of today. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of potential in a lot of people out there, I think. There certainly wasn't me, and I just, I'm thankful that I kind of let those things aside, and that I found out about, sort of self-improvement, or that I got the courage that I heard the words of, okay, I'm very lucky and fortunate and thankful that I had the comforting words of someone telling me and reassuring me that I'm not a burden. And then also the kick in the ass of someone telling me that I'm not supposed to be that weak, and that I'm supposed to aim high and supposed to be ruthlessly ambitious, and then I started taking sort of things into my own hand, and I guess I find myself in the same position now. And it's just like, okay, great, because now I know that it's pretty much up to me, to change things. I have no excuses, but yeah, it makes life harder, but also a lot more enjoyable, I think, so. Yeah. And yeah, some struggles might never go away, but I guess you kind of learn to deal with them, no? So, and I'm sure, I'll get better with time. And just to mention, just to give a small reminder to everybody who's already grinding, hey, life is much broader too. There's so much beauty in the everyday, and small stuff, like just the present moment brings me a lot of peace. Like, looking at the sun hitting these dead flowers of mine, but yeah, I don't know, or just kicking back and guess it's kind of counterproductive or controversial what I'm saying right now, but like kicking back and playing video games just for 30 minutes because you've got better things. Well, you know, I've become more addicted to writing and I've burned the bridges to the point where, you know, I can't kind of get my like back out now, you know, like, so it is a lot more enjoyable actually to me, like making these videos and trying to figure out like how can I improve these things, and because it's just it connects to a deeper level to me. And you know, anyways, I've gone from gamer gooner, I don't know, gamer to addicted to writing, quite literally. Like, even though I'm not posting most of it, which I should, I know I should, but yeah, it's kind of writing and kind of building something, even though I'm not the most efficient at it, I'm not the most capable at it, you know, but I think if you're on the right path, then you've already won, right? So put out a lot on you today, so we'll keep it there. And yeah, keep walking one foot at a time. I don't know. I don't need to tell you anything. I know you got this. So yeah, have a good one. Thanks for being here, and till next one. Bye-bye.